Heseltine was Britain's Deputy Prime Minister under Margaret Thatcher. Now, Lord Heseltine, you believe inflicting Brexit without a people's vote would be undemocratic. But tonight, with Boris Johnson on the verge of number 10, what do you make of it?
Well, nothing has changed. Boris Johnson has won. We all thought he was going to win. He's repeated his policies of having his cake and eat it, which is ludicrous when you think about it. He's dug in. He's made commitments to a section of the Conservative Party who will hold him to it, pin him to the floorboards. But there's no parliamentary majority for what he wants, and there's no prospect of him getting a parliamentary majority.
Right, but there's no parliamentary majority for a no deal, which to some extent is in extreme. It might be the default position, but it is in extremis. He would say he still wants to come out with a renegotiated deal.
Yes, he would say that, but he's got to come out, have a renegotiated deal by October the 31st, or he comes out. If he can come out, if Parliament will let him, which they almost certainly won't. The problem he has is that behind him there's a group of MPs in his own party who are absolutely resolute about the purity of the commitment. And any temporizing that Boris does with the European Union alienates the hard core that put him into power.
But if that happens, then the hardcore, as they discovered earlier this year, they will frustrate their own goals to any form of Brexit.
That is the problem, but we've seen how determined they are, and there is no grounds for thinking that Boris has changed their views at all.
But does it concern you that you have on the other side the Philip Hammonds and the Gawkers of this world who will say, we will not let you go down the no-deal Brexit route?
Well, I'm delighted by that, and I think that you shouldn't personalise it down to some very brave cabinet ministers who are going to take a stand, because they're talking for millions of Conservative voters. And the real dilemma for the new government now is how do they get anything through Parliament? And one of the options traditionally was to have a general election. But there were no grounds for thinking that in a general election anything different to the stalemate that we have now would be the forthcoming result.
You famously walked out of cabinet and resigned over Westland helicopters many years ago. When you look at the crises that are within governments, where does this one rank?
This is the worst I've known in my lifetime in peacetime.
And with that in mind, whichever avenue you take, there's no answer.
No short-term
I'm not trying to be.
No, well, their only answer that is on the cards, but not yet certain, is a second referendum which reverses the original decision, and we withdraw Article 50 and stay within the European Union. That is in Britain's national self-interest.
A rather crude question. Is Boris Johnson up to the job?
Look, that is, as you say, a crude question, and I don't get involved in the personalities. I'm interested in the issue. I'm a member of the Conservative Party. I believe passionately in British self-interest and believe it inextricably interwoven with Europe. I am not going to get involved into the sort of gutter level of politics.
No, but, well, yes, fair dues, but his personality is what people are talking about as being the driving force that might just get this done. It is the character and his larger-than-life that might just force this issue together. Do you see any hope of that?
No. The country is deeply divided, and you're seeing it now with ministers resigning, more are going to resign tomorrow. They're throwing away their careers. I mean, they are deliberately expressing a view, and that will be manifested by their position on the backbenches. And the only way that Boris Johnson would be able to neuter that is two ways. One, to do a deal with the Brexit Party, which would split the Conservatives, and the other is to rely on Labour members of Parliament to get his views through. That also would have devastating effect on the Conservative Party.
I don't want to leave her completely on a down note, but can you see any way out of this, besides the second referendum, which even Parliament didn't really want when it voted on these things earlier this year, and in the indicative votes, even that failed?
I think Britain is facing a period of uncertainty to which there's no obvious resolution. It is very damaging. people's jobs, the wealth of the country, power of the country. But that is the real world. That, if you talk to people in industry who have to make the decisions, they're sitting on their hands, and they will stay there until this matter is resolved.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
As always, thank you.